What's your phobia? Stick around to see if yours makes the list. Today, we're diving into some unusual phobias. These are fears you might not have heard of, but are very real for those who experience them. Trypophobia, the fear of clusters of small holes. This can include things like honeycombs, lotus seed pods, and even some foods like strawberries or chocolate with air bubbles. Did you know that about 16% of people feel uncomfortable or anxious when they see these patterns? That's quite a lot. But why do people have this fear? There are a few reasons. Some experts think it's an instinct to avoid dangerous animals with similar patterns. Others say it might remind us of skin diseases or infections. Bad experiences with these patterns or even visual stress can also cause this fear. People with trypophobia often describe feeling itchy, uncomfortable, or even panicked when they see these patterns. Now let's talk about xanthophobia, the fear of the color yellow. This one is pretty rare, but it does affect people across different cultures. Why do people have this fear? It could be because of negative associations with the color yellow, like danger or illness. Bad experiences with yellow objects or cultural influences can also play a role. People with xanthophobia might avoid yellow objects altogether. Managing this fear can involve slowly introducing yellow objects into daily life, talking to a therapist, or using relaxation techniques. Arachnophobia is the fear of spiders and affects about 3.5 to 6.1% of people. It's one of the most common animal phobias. People might develop this fear due to negative experiences with spiders or a general fear of being bitten. Cultural influences also play a role. People with arachnophobia might avoid places where spiders are common. Managing this fear can involve learning about spiders and gradual exposure to them. Chronophobia is the fear of time or the passing of time. This can cause anxiety about getting older or feeling like time is moving too quickly. Chronophobia can affect anyone, but is more common among people facing significant life changes, like aging or terminal illness. It might be caused by existential anxiety, pressure and deadlines, or fear of aging. Those with chronophobia might feel anxious about birthdays, deadlines, or the future. To manage it, try creating a structured schedule. Now let's talk about coulrophobia, the fear of clowns. This phobia affects about 7.8% of the population and can make events like circuses or parties very stressful. Why do people have this fear? It often stems from childhood experiences, scary movies, or the uncanny appearance of clowns with their exaggerated features and makeup. People with coulrophobia might avoid places where clowns are present, like circuses or themed parties. This fear can also be triggered by seeing clowns in media or even thinking about them. Understanding that clowns are just people in costume can also help. Now let's talk about claustrophobia, the fear of confined spaces. This is one of the more common phobias, affecting about 5 to 7% of the population. People might develop this fear due to past traumatic experiences in confined spaces, or a general fear of being trapped. It's often associated with panic attacks. People with claustrophobia might avoid small rooms, elevators, or crowded places. Managing this fear can involve gradual exposure to confined spaces and practicing some relaxation techniques. Next, we have nomophobia, the fear of being without your mobile phone. This one is especially common among younger people. Studies show that up to 66% of people feel anxious without their phones. That's more than half of us. Why do people experience this fear? Many of us rely on our phones for communication, social interaction, and information. There's also the fear of missing out, or FOMO, and worries about not being able to reach help in an emergency. People with nomophobia might feel anxious, restless, and even panicked when they can't use their phones. To manage this, you can set phone-free times during the day or talk to a therapist. Nyctophobia is the fear of darkness. This is common in children but can also affect adults. This fear can stem from a natural fear of the unknown or from traumatic experiences in the dark. It often leads to anxiety and difficulty sleeping. People with nyctophobia might use nightlights or avoid dark places. Managing this fear can involve gradually practicing deep breathing exercises, focusing on a positive image in the dark. Mysophobia is the fear of germs or contamination. This can lead to obsessive cleaning and avoidance of public places. This fear can develop from a fear of illness or negative experiences with germs. It often leads to significant anxiety about cleanliness and hygiene. People with mysophobia might avoid touching things in public or wash their hands excessively. Studies show that mysophobia is more common in urban areas, where people are more aware of germs and contamination. Approximately 8% of people in cities experience some form of mysophobia. Managing this fear can involve cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure therapy, and relaxation techniques.